me ask, what are the flavors of the week?
Oh my. I could show you.
Oh yeah.
They
Wait, they
they
haven't
just
all been eaten yet?
no, they just ran away with them. I think they went downstairs.
Yep.
I was like, I'm doing a podcast. You guys can't be up here.
Here are cookies.
I
Do
did
you-
see there was like a Benson Boone like themed cookie,
Oh,
like
he's got his
moon
own
cookie or
cookie?
something like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow. So do you get the 6-pack or the dozen or
We
I
usually
think
just get what the whole menu.
it
We just
all? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's
all
so
the way
weird.
down the line.
They're so expensive though.
Yeah, I had to take out a
They're like
second
4 or
mortgage
5
to get them
bucks
all.
a cookie. They're big, man. They're
Yeah.
big. We
It's just like budgeting it into like it's like I got to pay my electric bill. I got to get crumble cookies. I gotta, it's just part of that.
So we tried them years ago. We went down to the Outer Banks, and the flavors were really weird. And it was like a blue slushy, and everything was like super sweet. And so then I was like, "Man, crumble sucks. What a waste of $40 or whatever." But then they opened up one here in Delaware, and dude, they're so good.
Jared,
Yeah, it's kind of
there's this-
crazy.
Yeah,
There's that guy that goes, he eats insane amounts of food, and then he goes and runs all the calories off. So he just does,
Oh
he
my.
does the math for it. And he ate, it was probably 6 crumble cookies. So how many calories are in 6 crumble cookies? It's insane.
dude, it has to be like at least 3.
8 times
Yeah.
6, whatever that is.
Right. And then he's just like, mile 7, I'm fucking tired. I gotta poop. He said, I gotta poop. And then he takes like and it's just mile 7.5. It's just his feet on the toilet.
There are people who make a living just like getting the crumble cookies and just reviewing them.
Mhm. Yeah.
If you scroll TikTok right now, someone is reviewing those cookies.
Sit in their car and they just
Yup.
yeah.
We say this all the time. That's how me and Greg started.
Yeah.
We started just by doing like eating food in the
Really?
car.
People were paying us to eat, but like specifically fast food. So like go to McDonald's and we would get like the tailgate box or whatever, and we would eat the whole thing, and then people would just like give us money on GoFundMe. That's how we
That's
started.
beautiful.
Yeah. It's fascinating though because TikTok and Instagram and do you guys have like a really big presence on TikTok and like on all the socials, or is there one that you kind of favor more than another?
Yeah, YouTube is our thing. So
Yeah.
TikTok was not around, and Instagram I don't think was doing. It was like when they were trying to do Instagram TV. So there wasn't Reels yet. Facebook didn't have Reels yet. There was like almost no vertical content. So it was just YouTube for us for like from the very beginning. But my son kind of started a little bit later. He has like 840 some thousand on TikTok and like 300 some thousand on Instagram. So he's primarily there, even though he started on YouTube when he was like 4.
Wow.
Is that like a Ryan's toy review type thing?
No. So my son is Cohen Krysiak, and he's an insanely good guitar player and drummer. So he started doing drum covers when he was 4 years old. And like they got shared by Muse and Architects, and like Metallica shares his stories all the time. So yeah, he's like he's running at the same time as me, but he's like gonna crush me.
Well, it's funny. So
career wise.
I think I saw a video of you guys playing I think it was a Muse song. Right?
Yeah.
And I was telling Eric about it, and I was like, man, that kid just puts me to shame. Like I just feel like, when like kids are just really talented and good and you're like, damn, like I suck.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Yeah, right.
Every day that happens to me.
Now, did you know like early on that he like that, like, I don't know how to phrase it. Like, did you kind of say, here's a guitar, here's a drum set, or was it like he started showing interest in that? I'm curious to see how kids learn to like, I can do this too,
Yeah. I mean, I've thought about it a lot because like it just doesn't make sense like that I would be so lucky to have a kid that plays guitar and drums just like I do, And then he got into like race cars, which I'm super interested in, racing and Porsches and like, the car culture. And he got into that too. And it was like, wow, he's like seriously into everything that I'm into. Like, how did I get this lucky? And my daughter also plays piano
Yeah.
and plays bass, and she's amazing as well. And it was like, this isn't fair. You know what I mean? Like, how did this happen to me? I feel like bad about it because I talk to my other friends and they're like, my kid like puts his face in dirt sometimes. Like he
That's my
likes that.
kids.
I don't know.
And myself. It's me too.
I mean, my kids still do that sort of stuff, but then they also do this really cool stuff. But I thought about it a lot and I was like, I think I came up with like a pretty logical answer. And it's that when he was young and you know how like kids, if you went back to like, the early stages of like tribes and all that sort of stuff, they see what their parents are doing and they're like, oh, I'm going to have to do that. That's why they learn our language. That's why they're like, I'm going to have to communicate with them. So I better learn what they're saying. And I think that at an early age was, when COVID happened and he was at home with me and First to 11 was just pumping out covers. We were doing 2 covers a week during COVID time. So I think he was just, at home watching me being like, oh, I'm going to have to do that. Like he's playing guitar, he's programming drums, he's doing production, he's doing all that sort of stuff. So I'm probably going to have to do that. So I think it just kind of was when his brain was like the most open to like, oh, I'm going to need to do this sort of stuff. And he just saw me doing it every day and was like, all right, well then, I better start playing drums. I better start playing guitar.
Yeah, they're like little sponges.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you have like kids that are super talented in that, in instruments, right? So like growing up for me, it was like, hey, Dad, I want to play guitar. Like when I first got started, and they were like, all right, here's the Yamaha kit. It comes with the real shitty amp, the Strat pick. But
yeah.
Is it different when like you're already an established musician? So are you like, well, here's my Gibson, or here, like here's a really nice instrument that a lot of people don't like, a lot of kids wouldn't get this, this luxury.
Yeah. I mean, I want to say yes, that definitely helps because I used to because I teach lessons.
Okay.
And I would tell all my, students' parents, like, try and get the nicest guitar that you possibly can, but I wouldn't say that it's necessarily because of like it plays better or anything like that. But I think that the interest in the instrument is so important. Like, you've got to hold your guitar and be proud of it. You know what I mean? You've got to feel like not embarrassed of your instrument or not like held back by your instrument, or it needs to look like whoever you idolize, it needs to look like theirs, because like I was like, I want an Explorer. I wanted like the pointy guitars because James Hetfield had one. And, I went to the music store. My mom was like, how about you just get a normal one first, but I don't know if maybe that motivated me more because I was like, I want the pointy one. I want that one. I only have this one, so I'm going to play really good. I'm going to work really hard or whatever to try and get the one that I wanted. And I think that with him, it was like, I couldn't give him my guitars because he was so little. His little hands just couldn't get around it. And so I did a ton of research, like trying to go back like into the 80s when there were mini guitars and like who was producing the best mini guitar when that was like a thing. And so I was learning about like how Eddie Van Halen played like some of these intros of songs on these tiny guitars because it gave him like a certain sound. It was like called a Chiquita or something like that. So I was like looking up like all this different stuff. And then I found out that Gibson made 3/4 size guitars in the 60s as like student guitars. But then I found one and I was like, oh, the neck is 3/4, but the body is still full size. So, that didn't work. And I found Vox was a company that made a travel size guitars and it was a half size guitar. So like Epiphone made one that was like, it was for little kids. Like everything was plastic. It could barely stay in tune. It was like a cute gift to give to like your kids. They were called Pee Wee. They had a Pee Wee Les Paul and a Pee Wee Flying V.
Of course.
And I had that, but it wouldn't stay in tune. So I found this Vox and it's like, it's compensated. It has like a different ratio tuner on it. So you can put full like 13 gauge strings on this and then just this tuner would put it into E standard. So you could play this guitar, this tiny guitar in E standard. And when I found that, he was like he went flying, like, because it sounded right, it felt right, it looked right, and he wore it around all the time. Like, I have a video of him when he was maybe 3 or something like that, and he's just like, you can't play yet, but he's just like, he's feeling it, and that was like, I think what kept him motivated was like, he felt cool. And every instrument that I bought after that, because I was like, all right, now let's find the best 3/4 size guitar. And every time I bought him a new guitar, it was like he just started playing guitar again. He was like playing for hours at a time because he was just interested in whatever I could possibly do to keep him into it. That's what I did.
Well, it's fascinating too. I mean, you mentioned like being proud of what you have. I remember that Yamaha guitar. It would always go out of tune and it would always break. Like it would always like
Yeah.
unsolder
The
itself.
knob would
I'd have
fall
to,
off, or
yeah.
yeah,
And I
everything.
still have it in my basement and it's like covered in like yellow card stickers and whatever from like the early
Yes.
2000s, but it was bad and I would hate playing because it sounded bad. And I guess I never
Mm.
really thought about like, well, and I don't want to say like it has to be expensive to sound good, but I think yes, being proud of what you
It's
have.
got to be at least built well.
Yes, yes, exactly. And that's why when I got my I remember it was the Joe Perry Epiphone, and man,
Oh,
like, and I sold it like a dumbass, and I
as we
remember,
do.
yeah, I know, and it was like my favorite guitar in the world, and then I got the SG and the but there was just something about that guitar, and then when you get rid of it, the disappointment that I still feel. Sometimes I'm just sitting there and I'm like, damn, like I missed, and then I looked them up on eBay, and they're so expensive now, and
But then
I'm
you probably would have
currently,
sold it now. You would have sold it now,
yeah,
Greg.
yeah,
I
for
know
like
you.
triple the cost.
Yes.
Triple the money. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, I don't know. I guess that's just part of it, right?
yeah.
Um,
Now I'm in like, I just turned 40 this year, and I'm like going back and I'm buying all the guitars that I got rid of when I was like a kid. And I found, this is crazy. I found one on reverb.com, is like the musician's eBay. And I found the one that is one serial number away from the guitar that I had when I was a kid. Like,
okay.
I kept the serial number, and I looked at it. I was like, whoa, this was like literally built one before
Wow, what are
the
the
one that
odds
I
of
got
that?
rid of. Yeah,
That
I was pretty impressed.
I love Reverb though. I feel like Reverb has a really good community and people don't typically
Yeah.
try to like I'll sell a lot of guitar pedals on there and I'll get pretty close to retail for them.
Hmm.
And people are cool. Like eBay, I feel like, man, eBay's a whole different type of clientele. But Reverb, I do feel like they have a very good whatever they're doing over there is working.
Yeah, it's moderated very, very well. It was owned by Chicago Music
Okay.
originally. So they, obviously know what they're doing. And I think Fender bought it now. So it's in good
Okay.
hands, I'd say.
Um so First to 11. I know you mentioned them, but before we talk about First to 11, and we've been trying to debunk or figure out the cover, this like the legality behind cover songs, right? And maybe you can help
Okay.
us. So
I gotcha.
do so it started with I don't know if you've ever heard of the band Houston Calls. And they were this band from New
Mhm.
Jersey. They were on like Drive Through Records coming up with like the early
Okay.
November, Socratic, right? So we had them on and we were talking about how there was a bar here in Delaware and they got shut down because they were doing like karaoke and they were playing songs and they didn't have licensing. And that's kind of what stemmed the I heard online that when you cover a song, it's easier to do a cover in terms of like legality than sampling something. So I heard there's more behind
Yes.
covering versus sampling. Is that true?
Yes. Yeah. So if you use, so there's two sides of copyright. Like, there's the intellectual property, or sometimes like it's the publishing rights. I might get some of these terms wrong, but I
You
I'm
get the
just
gist of it.
old.
Yeah,
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 yeah. But there's that side. So like, if you sing the lyrics of Sweet Child of Mine, that's their creation. You owe them money for that. But then there's the recording side. So like, the recording company, the record company, they produce the record and then they sell that audio recording. So if you are doing like a cover like we do, we're using that intellectual property, but we're not using that recording. So on YouTube, you can do a content ID claim, which is basically like if it sees this audio signature, it knows that that's the recording of Sweet Child of Mine. And then the recording company will come and they will claim that revenue for that song. But we don't do that. So we record everything ourselves. So we put our own audio recording into YouTube and it claims it on our side. But we, in the title and the description, it says Sweet Child of Mine, originally by Guns N' Roses, cover by First to 11. So then the publishing company sees that and they're like, okay, that's our intellectual property. That's our, our music, our chords and lyrics. And then they claim that. So in our case, we get 50% of all the revenue that would be made by the cover, which is, great. I'm not complaining about that.
Right.
The person that wrote the song is still making, like Sweet Child of Mine, our biggest video has, I think, 70 some million views at this point. So, 70 some million views equates to a decent amount of revenue. And we got 50% of that, but we also made Guns N' Roses 50% of that,
Right.
So like,
did they ever thank you? Do they have to thank you?
Do you
if I ever see one of them, I'm gonna be like, hey, give me,
buy me a drink.
some credit.
You didn't have to do anything extra, and then we got you some dash.
So that's why they're cool with it. They're like, yeah, why wouldn't I let someone, re-record my song? But when a recording company is like, okay, now someone is using my audio recording, for some reason they just shut it down. I don't know why they aren't happy to like just claim it. I don't know, but they shut it down. So if you use someone's audio recording, usually you do not get away with it.
Right.
And I feel like, especially like we had an individual on, Mega Ran, who's he's like a kid rapper, and
No. He does raps for kids. He's not a child.
He's not a child rapper. Yes.
Yes. Good thing you jumped in there because I was like,
we were waiting for him to come on and be like, wait a minute, you're not a kid.
Yes, he is an adult
not
rapper.
Lil Bow Wow.
That is no. But same thing. So he got started. He did like a Mega Man tribute album, and
like
Capcom reached out, and they were like, "Hold on a sec." They were like, "All right, this is really good. Like, we're cool with this, and we'll fly you up." But like, I feel like that's the rare instance, and normally they'll just chew that ass up and they will shut it down, cease and desist. But I know like a big. Our Last Night, I know that they're not really like, they're kind of falling out of the I think making music scene. I think they're done, but most of their stuff, it's just covers, and that's how it's always been. And then I think Brendan Urie was talking about how they covered or he sampled Rock Lobster in one of his songs, and like to get the permission to do that was apparently a cluster, and to have everyone sign off on it. That's crazy to me. Like that it's so difficult to just do that,
Someone's baby, I guess. That must be how they feel
there's so many levels to it. There's like also like interpolation, which I don't fully understand. Like I know what we do is generally covered under a certain category, because we do not change the key. We do not change the lyrics. Like even if it's like a male song with like male writing, Audra will sing it as if she's a male. You know what I mean? So like we don't change anything about the song. But I think if you do like rearrange like the chorus to the verse or something like that, then it starts to fall under a different category. And then there's like parody, those are different laws too. So there's like a few different levels of it, that especially if you're like a DJ and you sample things, that there's like different things. There's more subcategories of like how you're supposed to properly do things when it comes to that. But they usually have to get permission to use like a sample or something like that, and they have to go through like the agencies, the like Harry Fox or whatever, to try and get that permission.
So would that even apply if you changed like a she to a he? Like just that.
Supposedly,
like
yeah. You have to sing it exactly the same.
Wow.
The lyrics need to be the same. The melody maybe even needs to be the same. Like you can't really change the melody.
Wow.
And then the structure of the song, I think, also needs to be the same.
Now, do you ever have any, like, say the original writer came out and they didn't like that, like, I don't like this band. Can they say no, or is it like, well,
Yeah,
you're SOL? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I've heard we haven't really had to run into it. We were like this. We were doing an Eagles cover. We were doing Hotel California, and like someone sent us a message and was like, "Hey, don't do an Eagles song because they'll shut it all the way down."
Oh, wow.
So they do have the ability. They have the permission, to shut it down, even if you're using the publishing side. But most artists do not because they're happy to get that revenue. It's really no skin off their back at all.
Now, what if you were covering, what's that song that Kesha does where she says, woke up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy? Because I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
she's changed those lyrics as of
yeah,
late, right?
But
So
live,
that would probably, oh, just, yeah, right. No, yeah, maybe only
right?
live.
And I think live is probably a different beast. No, like if you
Yeah.
cover a song live,
yeah,
how does right? Is that like a
yeah.
different?
That's totally different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you can
Um,
change things around, I would assume.
yeah, I think so. But there are a couple like Audra didn't swear, until she was like 20 some years old. Like she would not swear. And so we'd censored a lot of the songs that we did, but I don't think that we usually changed them. I think we just omitted whatever the bad word was.
Right.
I can't recall if we ever changed one, but that would have been before we had that information. So I don't know if we if we did it right or not
You could
back then.
fly under the radar, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Nobody's really
Yeah,
worried if
that
you
I
say
feel like.
melon farmer or
Yeah.
Well, what about, so whenever, and I guess it falls under live music, but you go and you see a band live and they always typically will use some sort of like sound or music from, like, I know I saw TBS and they had the Mr. Rogers theme. Like it's always like the band
Yeah.
walks out to like The Walking Dead. I think Chiodos did The Walking Dead. I saw someone do Game of Thrones, and that's cool too.
Yeah, that falls under, so like whatever the venue is, like the whatever big amphitheater or whatever they were playing pays ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC like licensing fees for them to properly use any. And if you get all three of those, you're covered on pretty much anything. So most venues will just pay that per year. It's just a cost of doing business when you own a music venue. But like I don't know, if you have like a pizza joint or something like that, even if they play a jukebox or they have Spotify going or they have, anything like that, they have to pay that license. And they could say like, all right, we don't play any music at our establishment, so we don't need to have that. But then if a band comes in and plays, someone's birthday party and then plays a bunch of cover songs, then they could get in trouble for that. And there's been stories of like ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC like shaking down a bunch of music venues being like, hey, you didn't pay your dues or whatever. And I don't think it happens a lot. I think they do it just to scare people into doing it. But I don't know how prevalent it actually is. I've only heard stories of stuff like that.
Well, that's what happened to like at the University of Delaware here, Mojo Maine. That's what happened to them. The dude,
Mhm.
and he must have kept getting hit. Like I feel like it wasn't like
Yeah.
once and done. He probably just kept just not
Ignoring it,
following
yeah.
the rules.
Well, I
and
mean,
ignoring it.
little old Delaware. Ain't nobody worried about Delaware.
Well,
I
but
guess I could see where
someone
you're coming
was.
from.
You
Sure.
know,
No,
I
no
mean,
one's immune.
it's like when we Eric and I go to the Philadelphia Hot Sauce Fest every year, and we always drive by this like little smoke joint, and it was called like Luigi's Weed House or whatever, and we're like, there's no way this shop is going
It
to let.
was actually Luigi from
It was just Luigi
Mario Brothers.
smoking
He
a
was just
joint.
like this.
Well, the next year, that whole place was boarded up.
Oh yeah,
And like,
one.
you don't mess with the mouse, you don't mess with Nintendo. Like someone's going to know. But it is interesting that someone came down on a little bar here in Delaware.
Mm-hmm.
So when you guys pick your songs, it's always interesting. Like I've been listening to a lot of for I think all week. Like since last week,
Thank you.
it's been like just first to 11 has been on. So what are you just picking songs you like? Like we listened to what is it, the Best of Me by The Starting Line. nonstop today. My son Arlo just constantly wanted to listen to that song. So like, what are they? Just songs you like, or
Sometimes, we realize that our tastes are pretty, you know, not not super under the radar, but not like mainstream. So there's some songs that have like made it there. Like we were just talking one of the people that's like our, I don't know, I guess our fan club like manager had a call earlier today, and we were talking about like, man, we're just not hitting with any like pop punk sort of stuff lately. Like it's just not doing as well as like our 80s, kind of throwbacks, and our like pop stuff that we like make into rock songs. And there were some songs that were like a pretty big exception to that. One of them was The Offspring. For some reason, our Offspring song, got like 1 million views like pretty quickly. And when we did Taking Back Sunday, when we did Starting Line, we did a couple other things that were of that, I don't know, pop punk kind of. I guess Offspring's a little, elder compared to the other
Sure.
two, like maybe just a few years before. But we were like, it's weird that one worked and all the other ones didn't work. And we're trying to like, it's weird with YouTube. You just don't get very many solid answers. Like this song might be more of a cult following, or this one might hit the algorithm better, or maybe we did a better job on the cover, or maybe we had a different thumbnail. There's so many variables that go into it that I can't put my finger on like what works and doesn't work. And I had a call with Mr. Beast's like YouTube like manager. I don't know if he's his manager, but like he's like a consultant that him and Mr. Beast, who's like one of the biggest YouTubers of all time, and has like
he
the
gets a lot of
most.
views.
Yeah, he's
I
doing
think I've
okay.
heard of him. Yeah.
Yeah, but he analyzes his videos to the point that he knows like, okay, at this moment people started clicking off because I held on this shot too long, or this wasn't framed properly. Like, so he's like very analytical about his YouTube. And I showed him First to 11's YouTube, and I was like, hey man, can you make sense of any of this? And he was like, man, you've made it in a subsect of YouTube that can't be figured out. He was like, and good on you for doing it, because it's hard to make it in music, and especially with like cover music. And he was like, it's just difficult to figure out. And he honestly just didn't have very much advice for me, except for he was like, I showed him, Cohen's channel, and he was like, oh, I know this channel. Like, I know you're that guy. And he was like, you need to just do this. He's like, you just need to hang out with your kid all the time and just make videos of you and him, because there's no way that's not going to work. He's like, that's the answer right there.
That's the promising career there.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
YouTube,
hilarious.
I can't figure out YouTube. YouTube has been our biggest struggle, honestly. Like, our Instagram is where we do most of our interaction, but like YouTube has started growing, and it started growing more when I started changing our thumbnails. Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand why, but
Well, I guess if we did know all these secrets, then we would be
Yeah, you'd just be.
a little richer, maybe.
But do you ever like notice too, like we'll get weird, so our podcast goes through like these like trends where it's like we did a long stretch of bands on their 20th reunion tours. And so like we were doing that for a while, and then we got bombarded with Disney people. Like
Okay.
Disney adults, and like
we were fed into their algorithm.
Yeah,
We didn't,
and I don't
yeah.
know.
We might have posted one reel about Disney.
I posted
then-
a reel, and it was like, if there was a ride you could pick to ride for 24 hours in Disney to get $1 million, what would it be? And for whatever reason, then we fell into the Disney algorithm, and now I don't know how to get out. Yeah, like
I don't know how to get it.
It's
We
been
just embrace
chosen
it.
for you. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
right.
been chosen for you.
and so
It's-
like it. I can't figure it out. And TikTok, I really have a hard time understanding.
Yeah.
And
It's
Greg,
weird.
you're
Like
just old.
you just get into them, and
yeah,
like I have these conspiracy theories that it's across. I think it's based off of devices, because I've noticed that when a First to 11 video does well or a Cohen video does well, then all of my other accounts seem to get a boost like almost at the same time. And like they're not like, I've done a couple videos with First to 11 and Cohen together, but like not a lot. Like most people on Cohen's channel especially don't know that I'm the guitar player in First to 11. And most of our fans do know that Cohen is my son, but like it's both those two things came up completely independent of each other. And it's weird that like when one does well, another one does well. There seems to be like a correlation there. And I heard someone, I don't know, was maybe on like a Joe Rogan podcast that I was listening to, he was like at dinner with someone from like YouTube or Facebook or something like that. And he said, oh yeah, like we know, like if you watch something kind of controversial on your YouTube channel, that's like connected to whatever you're posting about. So if you start watching like videos of like, some sort of controversial topic, it might silence your viewership on your sewing channel that you like post normally on. So there's like supposedly some ins and outs there that like, are much deeper than people realize.
That's fascinating because my daughter Isla will log into like our YouTube channel is sometimes like I'll go out into the living room and I was like, hey, why is Daddy's podcast on the TV? Like this isn't for you.
Yeah.
And, but then she's watching like these weird bizarre shorts and like
I hate my YouTube. My YouTube, I have 1,000 notifications on it, and it's all like, the things like the kids watch. Like,
yes,
it is. Well, it's like kids making videos, like probably with their parents, and they're just acting things out and playing things. Greg, you lived with us for a little while. What was that? What was that family
like the
that would
Zam
do stuff?
Fam?
The Zam Fam. That's exactly the one I was thinking.
Yep.
And now they're always. I just need to unfollow, but I have to do that by like 45 accounts because they kept following and liking. So now it's in my feed and I hate it so much.
Well, because when you watch those shorts, they like mid short, they'll say like, make sure to like and subscribe or you don't love your parents. And it's like, yo,
that.
Yeah. And like, I was like, we have to like and subscribe. And then it's like,
oh, that just means she loves you.
Yeah. Okay. And it like, I think that might be screwing up our algorithm a little bit.
Maybe.
But Ryan, I have to say we have this is actually like a really funny story. I guess funny. Someone we work with, he always asks like our podcast schedule, and he's like, "Who's coming on? Who do you have scheduled?" And I said First to 11, and he was like, "Oh my god, I know who." Like he knew who all of you were by name.
Yeah,
and he's like, my kids love First to 11,
but he also did too.
And he also did too. Really,
obviously he knew
too.
everybody. He knew all your names. Yeah.
And I was like, oh well, I've been having my interaction with Ryan. He's like, yeah, and he always posts the videos like with his kids, and I was like that's I don't want to say like it was crazy, but I was like, wow, like
I was not expecting someone that we knew to know you guys.
Yeah, not saying that like, but it was just it was interesting. But
there's definitely a smaller number of people that are like that. There's a lot of people that like, I'll say I'm in a band, First to 11, we do covers. And then like when I show them a video, they'll be like, oh, I recognize that. But like, yeah, when you have, and Cohen, same thing. Like when Cohen does a lot of Metallica stuff. So when we go to the Metallica concerts, there's a lot of people that are like, that's the kid from Instagram. Like that happens a lot. But as far as like people that like, know our names or like know like kind of more personal stuff about us, which I'm totally cool with. But I mean, like, that's like the line that is like, if you have seen one of our videos before, you recognize maybe our faces, don't know anyone's names. Like that's, I think the majority of our fans. And there's like a core, maybe like 250,000 of the 2 million, or sorry. Yeah. 250,000 of the 2 million that we have that are like, in that category. Most of them are kind of just like casual, like sort of listeners.
Yeah, I don't know. And like, I don't know a lot of bands that I listen to their members' names. You know what I mean? Like,
True.
And like, that just goes for a lot. Like one of my favorite bands in 1975, like I know their names because I've been like actively trying to get them on and bugging the shit out of them. But like, if it wasn't for that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's not,
You know,
it's not information that I hold in my brain.
but some
very
people are
well.
really like in tune with that information and not in like a weird, creepy, like stalker kind of way.
Yeah, he
but they-
also said he was getting in his car and he was
Yeah,
gonna
he
come
said
see
he
if
knew
could find
where you
guys.
lived.
I don't know if you should be concerned.
But yeah, like I don't know. It was really interesting. But then also like he's from Pittsburgh and you guys are out of
Yeah, we come down there and play. We're
Yeah.
from Erie, so we get over there.
I've been to Erie twice, which is
Really?
Really?
like yeah, I have been. My favorite concert I've ever been to was my first concert that I went to like as like an adult. Me and my three buddies, we drove up to Erie. We're in Delaware, so it's like I don't know,
5,
Yep,
6
something
hours.
like
Yeah.
that. Yep. And we got a hotel room. They got really stoned before the show. I was not using at the time. And we saw it was Seether opened up for Breaking Benjamin, who opened up for 3 Days Grace. And I loved at that time all
I was there.
those bands. Were you there? This was circa, I want to say 2008, maybe. It was maybe 2008.
I took students of mine, so I'm going to guess it was a little bit later than that.
Okay.
But yeah, I was at that show. My dad works at the venue, like at the arena, so he just is always like, "Come on in," like. And I brought a bunch of my students there. Actually, wait, no, because Starset played. So 3 Days Grace and Breaking Benjamin, they toured a lot together. The one that I'm thinking of had Starset as an opener, not Seether.
Okay.
But now that I think about that, no, 2008, Seether did come and play in Erie, and they did like a one-off show, and they came and played like my bar that I used to like run sound at. And so Seether, I think there was some sort of issue with there was like a lightning storm or something going on. And they were like, we're not plugging in our gear. We'll only play if we rent gear from someone in the city. So they rented our gear and played,
nice.
all our stuff. And Amy Lee was there because the dude from Seether was dating
they were
Amy
still
Lee
dating
from Evanescence at that time. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really sick that she showed up. That's cool. I didn't think that happens normally. Or like, no offense to Erie, I would say the same about Delaware. That somebody like would also like, oh, I'll just come along to Erie or Delaware. Like they usually skip those and they go to like the big cities, I would assume.
Yeah.
Well, and two, well, you know what, Eric? There's a lot of bands coming through Delaware now. There have been a good bit coming through because there's that new amphitheater downstate, and I know Young the Giant's coming through. And I mean, not like Young the Giant's pretty big.
Sure. Yeah.
The Goo Goo Dolls are coming through with Dashboard.
Okay.
So there's some good stuff happening.
Okay, sure.
Ryan, so I see a lot of First to 11 now, but I also see a lot of the other what are they? Burn the Jukebox.
Yep.
So is it when you're like in a cover band, do you find it's like a competitive market, or you guys are all just doing your own thing?
No. So Burn the Jukebox is from Harrisburg.
Okay.
And I've been following them for a while because I just like to see new young bands, and they're doing something pretty similar to what we're doing. They're doing it in short form content, like primarily. But like I've been following them forever. So Cohen and Quinn went and did this thing with SJC Drums. It was called Loyal to the Craft. It was at Camp Woodward, which is like kind of out by where Burn the Jukebox is from. So they were like a guest of this camp, and they were there like doing a performance, but then they were also like trying to work with the kids that were like at the camp. And the camp was like supposed to be like a music industry mixed with like action sports camp. So SJC was like, bring Cohen and Quinn out to this camp. It'll be cool for them. So like they're musicians, but they don't do action sports at all. So we go out to like Camp Woodward, and then I was kind of like expecting it to be more about music, but it was like these were all action sports kids that were like holding a guitar for the first time. And like my kids were like doing action sports for the first time, but like we're really good at music. So it was like didn't do a lot of music stuff. But when they did get to, Burn the Jukebox was there like helping. So Virginia, the singer, was like helping Quinn, and you know Quinn's a bass player, and she was like hanging out with them and like doing all that sort of stuff. Cohen, I think, just like he got lost, so he wasn't there. He just like he got lost at Camp Woodward. Yeah, I don't know where he was that
He
day.
was doing all the action sports.
Yeah, he was busy. He like, I thought he I thought he broke his arm, but he got like such a bad like contusion that it looked like his bone was sticking up through his skin.
Wow.
And I was like, oh God, this is bad. But it ended up just being like a really bad bruise. But yeah, anyways, that weekend was insane. But I did get to meet Burn the Jukebox, and I got to talk to them. And it's a weird interaction with them, because in order for me to be at the camp, you're supposed to drop your kids off and just like let them be there. And I was like, Cohen was only 7 at the time. Like he was very little. And I was like, I'm not kind of comfortable with that. So I was like, I would like to be there. And so they were like, you can be there if you work at the camp, like you volunteer at the camp. Not volunteer, like you got paid, but like I was like, okay, I'll work at the camp. And they put me on like milkshake duty. So I was working at like the snack shack, like making milkshakes for everybody.
Do you have a little paper hat?
I might have had a hairnet. I don't remember. I was like, I had like the uniform on. I was like covered in like milk and ice cream. And so they were like coming through the line, and I hadn't like introduced myself to them yet, but I was like back there making their milkshakes. And I was like, hey, I'm Ryan from First to 11. I'm in a really famous cover band, just like you guys. And they were like,
oh, one day you'll really make it. I believe in you.
Yeah.
All of this can be yours.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And so I don't remember if I was like, you got to follow us on, Instagram. And I think like one of their dads like gave me a Burn the Jukebox sticker and was like, here. And I was like, no, I'm like, I
for real.
I'd like to work with you guys,
That's the funniest thing.
Oh my God. But were they cool at least?
Oh yeah, they were super nice. But then like I realized how ridiculous the situation was like way after the fact. And their guitar player at that weekend broke his arm skateboarding. So, or no, it was his leg, something like that. They couldn't perform. So they left early. I thought I was going to get to like another chance to interact with them, but I didn't. Because like he broke his leg and they had to dip. And so then I was like, I don't have any like contact for them or anything. So I just sent like an email to their contact that's on their website or whatever. And I actually tried to get them to come on tour with us, because we were doing a tour. And I was like, we start in Harrisburg. Like the tour starts in Harrisburg. It would be so great if you guys could, number one, even just play the Harrisburg show. If not, jump on this whole tour and just like come with us. And so I reached out to their manager, and then it was like, I'll run this past them. And I was like, I don't know, like I wish I could just like explain who I am, and like, because it's just I can't get through to them. If I send them an Instagram DM, it's not gonna, maybe I should do it from like Cohen's channel or something that has like the blue check or something.
That's the
so
milkshake
that they like
guy
actually
again.
listen to me.
It's
Yeah.
the milkshake guy. I wonder if he's doing anything with his life.
Was that like one of those things when like the server says, all right, enjoy your food, and you say, you too?
Oh yeah. I mean, I have so many interactions like that I'm like, oh God, I really messed that up. But yeah, that was my interaction with them. They were super cool, super nice. And it was just, I kind of started to realize that like they're in this situation as young musicians and they're successful. And it was like the same thing with First to 11, where there's a lot of people jumping in, trying to tell them like, do this, or if sign with us, or do, and it's very overwhelming. There was a lot of people that were trying to do that with us, and we went along with it. We didn't know any better back then. And so like, they don't need a manager, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like they would be fine on their own. but I'm sure someone said that they would be able to help them, and they didn't take the time to look and see who First to 11 was, or they did and they just were like, we don't care, we don't want to do that. I don't know, but either way, that's the theory that I've come up in my head with why we haven't been able to connect with Burn the Jukebox, because like I said, I'm genuinely a fan. They're really cool kids, and they were like Virginia was super sweet to Quinn, and they seemed like they really had a good time hanging out together.
Do well, you know what? Maybe that tour will happen. Maybe we will see the
Yeah, I hope so. Well, they're out of school now, from what I've saw, and hopefully they're like,
Yeah,
down to.
this would have been the perfect time, right? Summer vacation tour.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
yeah.
ours was in April, so I don't know if maybe they were like, "Oh, we can't tour in April. We're about to graduate high
Yeah,
school."
they
I
didn't
don't
want to
know.
be truant, and
Yeah.
Well, they'll get you for that.
Yeah,
But you got to
But
serve milkshakes at the tour. Like that's
yeah.
kind of a must, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you guys tour often? First to 11, like, are you?
Once a year we do a tour. It's not, compared to being on YouTube, it's not the best use of our time, like financially, or we just aren't good at it yet. You know what I mean? Like, because well, I have, my two kids, and I obviously want to be with my family. This past tour, they got to come on the tour with me because it lined up with their spring break. So we did a week without the kids, a week with the kids, and then a week without the kids. So it like really broke it up and made it really, really nice this past tour. But I don't like to be I don't like to be home or away from home for that long, to like really make a tour lucrative. And if we just made more content, because when you're on tour, it's 24 hours a day. You know what I mean? If we just sat in the studio for 24 hours a day for 3 weeks and made content, it would help our career a heck of a lot more than playing clubs would be. And there's only so many like venues that give you this split, and like even if you sell out venues, a lot of times it won't pay you the same as what you would get paid if you went and played a bar show at a casino or something like that. So being a cover band, we are a lot luckier that we have more venue and higher paying venue options than like an original band would. So that's why they kind of need to tour more than a cover band would. But we do it anyways because we love to meet the fans. You know what I mean? Like it's so cool to hang out with them, get to like, because every time we interact with fans, most of the time it's their screen name. You know what I mean? We're not able to put names to faces, but we recognize the screen names that are in the chat all the time, in the comments all the time. And then we get to see these fans. And we're like, oh, you're Dragonstorm. Oh, you're, Hip Waiter. You're, all these people that we've come to like become friends with, by seeing them on tour. And sometimes they can't make it to our local shows. So when we get closer to them and we get to get out there and we get to play a little bit different types of songs on tour, because we're playing a shorter set, kind of, to me anyways, it feels like it needs to be more high energy than like playing bar shows where you play like Don't Stop Believin', like because everyone's going to get drunk and sing along.
Right.
And on tour it's kind of like, let's go hard for an hour and play some high energy songs. So I enjoy that aspect of it. And it's also kind of for us, it's like a vacation, because we play shows, we get days off, we get to hang out in cities. We were actually really impressed with Delaware when we were there. Because
Did you
we
guys
were
come through
like,
Delaware?
yeah, we were doing like on our way to Virginia from DC, I think, and we ended up going through there. And we had, a couple hours to kill or something like that before we needed to go to the venue that wherever we were playing. And we were in Delaware and we were just like looking for a random mall, because that's kind of what we do, is we just look for malls. We just like to walk around malls. We're very like, we don't party. We don't we do like, we just go to malls and buy things that we could have bought in Erie, like, and we were like, there's probably not going to be anything cool in this like weird Delaware mall. And Trevor, Sam, and I are all very into like watches lately.
Mm-hmm.
And we went into the Delaware Mall and there was just these crazy nice like watches because you guys don't have tax there.
Yep.
Right.
So everyone from Maryland and the surrounding states goes into Delaware, and if you buy in a $40,000 watch, to not pay 7% tax on that is a big chunk of money.
I remember when they first put that watch store in the mall, and I was like, oh, let me just, because I wasn't a shithead kid. Like I was an adult, but I definitely don't have that type of money at all. And I went in there and I see a guy like, he's standing at the door like looking at me, knowing I don't have the money for this. And I was like, wait, what? Yeah. I said, what store did I just walk into? I had no idea. I didn't know watches even cost that much money.
And so, right, I'm assuming you guys went to the Krysiak Mall.
That sounds right.
That sounds right. It's right off of like 95, so that would make sense then for your trek. But and the Apple store in that mall,
that's a big.
I mean, people come from New York, Maryland, and they just buy that place out because that sales tax is not having that is tasty.
On
we take it for granted.
Stuff that's clutch. That's a reason to drive that far for sure.
Yep.
But we have not seen like a Rolex like stock like that. Like anywhere we've ever been before. We were like, holy crap, this is crazy.
You don't know how happy it makes us that you brought up the Krysiak Mall.
Yeah, that's huge.
We talk about the Krysiak Mall too much. Maybe that's just because, what else is there in Delaware?
Yeah. But it was like, it was kind of incognito a little bit. Like we were walking in and it was like, oh, there's Hot Topic, there's the Vans store, there's like not Sopata, what's the jewelry store, I don't know, but like it was all the normal mall stuff. And then we were like, why is there a Rolex dealership here? And then like they just they were insane.
I think the mall, or maybe it's just the Apple store, is it the busiest or the most profitable, I don't want to say the shopping mall, but maybe the most profitable Apple store on the East Coast. I don't know if that's accurate, but I think I heard that. And I think I heard it on the internet, so it has to be true.
It does have to be true.
Guaranteed.
That's crazy.
But like
their reputation is on the line. Why would they?
Yeah, right. But it's funny because that mall wasn't always like that. Like that mall was always a staple in Eric and my life. Like that.
But it used to smell like a pet store because there used to be a pet store in that mall.
Yep.
So you'd be like walking, eating your Cinnabon, and then it would be like a dog pissing on the floor inside this mall, like this indoor mall.
And it was like
really gross.
It was like yellow. And everything was stained because you could smoke in it. And then they said, hey, we're going to really redo this and make it and now it's to the point where it's like, no one can really afford to shop here anymore because everything's so expensive there.
I recently saw a video, and it was before they basically picked up our food court and moved it like 100 meters this way. It seemed weird, but I guess it made sense. It was all new construction. But I remember it was when I believe somebody was recording one of the iPhone like releases. It might have been the iPhone, and it was all these people waiting in line. And it's on the Delaware subreddit. I should have showed. I'm surprised I didn't share it with you, Greg. But it was funny. Like there were people like, "Oh my god, I know that guy." But that's a very Delaware thing to say because we're like a we're like a large town in a small state. Like everybody knows everybody there. But then nostalgia.
Like Delaware's weird. Like I was at like driving past the Chick-fil-A, and then just like Patton Oswalt was just standing out front, and it's like, well, why are you here? And apparently like he was looking at properties in Middletown, Delaware. And it's we had a band based out of New York, different people on, and he was like, hey, do you know Middletown, Delaware? And it's like, well, that's where I live. He's like, yeah, I like spent most of my childhood there.
So
why? Like it's so weird, but like everyone at some point has come through Delaware, and
that's not necessarily true, Greg.
It was my first time. I had never been there.
A lot of people just drive through us.
I like it here.
It's cool. Yeah. I don't think I'll ever leave at this point.
That's too late.
Ryan, so if people want to check you out, so YouTube, First to 11, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, TikTok.
First to 11, all spelled out. Yeah.
All spelled out. Okay.
There's a lot of different ways you could potentially not spell out our name.
One ST, right? Number 2.
There's
a lot of different ways. but all spelled out. That's uniform across the whole thing.
That's good.
Perfect. Cool. And I'll link it down below.
Yeah, and
In
then
the show notes.
yeah, I'm on Facebook and Instagram as Ryan Rock School on Instagram. But if you just type in Ryan Krysiak, I think it shows up. I don't really spend a lot of time on my own channels, but just because I'm Cohen's dad, like my Facebook and my Instagram have been like kind of growing on their own.
Right.
There's
That
this
organic growth.
yeah, there's this dude that like posted Cohen's biggest video has like 100 million views, and he did it like maybe a year and a half ago. And some dude just did a reaction video to it, and it got like 6 million views in like a couple days, like maybe a week. So now like everyone is just finding my channel because he like tagged me or I commented or something like that and was like, hey, that's my son. Thanks for posting this. And yeah, so now my channel has like gotten a decent amount of followers, and my Facebook is pretty, like I think I have 30,000 like for not doing anything on it. It's pretty impressive.
Wow.
I'm enjoying
Right.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying my little bit of fame.
Yeah.
We have.
Then-
I just had the opposite reaction. I have a friend's friend who opened up a smoothie store. And I said, "Oh, that's awesome. Good luck." They were talking about, "Oh yeah, it's nothing to buy the fruit, and then you pay somebody minimum wage to sell these things." and I said, "Oh, do you have a social media thing?" And he said, "Yeah, we've got like 1,100 followers." And I was like, "Oh, that's almost more than Daddies the podcast."
We are up to 1,700 now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, but apparently what we need to do is open up a smoothie stand. Greg.
yeah,
That's our
right.
next venture.
Or have very successful musician children.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that works
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
And then-
I was taking notes on how to make a prodigy.
yeah, you can find Cohen on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Cohen Krysiak, Coen, and then Krysiak. My last name is not easy to spell. But-
no, we'll definitely put
If
that
you
in the
just
show
type in
notes.
KRY, it usually
it'll
auto-populates
take, yeah,
itself.
right.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ryan, for joining us. Taking the time.
Yeah,
to
of course.
man.
Yeah. Thanks so much. It was good talking to you.